Welcome back to the Real with Joseph Lappin. I am Joseph Lappin. Hope you guys having a great Monday afternoon. Welcome into the Real. If you're new here, please like, subscribe, and share. I'd really appreciate that. And shout out to all new subscribers who have subscribed to the channel, and shout out to you on the playback. Everybody hit the like button on the way in here, and yeah, please subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. But we're gonna get into it today. Um, we're gonna do this is mock draft Monday. So every Monday on the show up till the draft, we'll do my mock draft. This will be 2.0. And I think my mock draft this week will be a lot better, or well, it will be better in my opinion, but it'll be a lot different than last week's. Last week I had Carnell Tate, Caden Proctor, in the South Carolina cornerback with my first three picks. I think this week I'm gonna be a little different. My opinion's changed on that. We're also going to talk Tiger Woods. I have a real life discussion based around the Tiger Woods incident that just happened, and kind of broaden the conversation into something deeper about life, and just how Tiger's circumstance is kind of an example for all of us. And obviously, we hope Tiger finds healing in his life. But we'll get to that and down the road. We're going to start though with Shedeur Sanders and Deshaun Watson, as the owners' meetings are going on this week out in Phoenix. And some interesting comments from the Browns side of things with Andrew Berry and Jimmy Haslam. So we're going to get into that, and how maybe Deshaun Watson, is he really going to be somebody, if he performs well? Not only is he in play to win the job, but if he performs well, could the Browns re-sign him? We'll get to those comments by Andrew Berry here in a second. Shout out to man Humble, who's in the building right now. Humble Man MMA, who also put out his first video. Go watch it, reacting to over the weekend's fights of Adesanya versus Joe Pyfer. So go check out my man, and go subscribe to him. The same username right there. But look at the man up here himself. Joining me now is Illyria's finest. My man, Humble, is in the building. Humble, what's happening?
Hey, everybody. Good to be here on a Monday evening. Hope everyone is having a good day.
Yeah, man. I hope everyone's having a good day. Humble, you want to give people a breakdown quick of your video? What was your initial reaction to the Adesanya fight, real quick?
Oh, man. To be honest with you, I really saw it coming. I know you're a big style bender fan, but man, just the weight cut for him, he looks like a skeleton he's always been thin, but geez, it's catching up to him, man. The age, he's 36, man. Love the guy, for his fight style and everything. It's just, this is the fight game. You're not LeBron, and fighting surely not basketball. So, I honestly seen it coming, Joe. It's just, I'm not sure a lot of fans wanted to see. He says he's going to keep going, and I honestly, as a fan, would want him to retire. But I know, what would you want him to retire, Joe? Real quick.
No, I wouldn't want him to retire. I think he didn't fight for 14 months. I think it was his longest
Yeah,
layoff ever. So I think he said it. I think he wanted to go out there and just get hit. And the explosion wasn't there that he usually has. Because he likes the feather, and who usually comes up just explodes and usually knocks people out. But I think the feathering was there. His technical side of things were there. But I think the explosion and maybe the conditioning of the fight conditioning, and just being a little older now. But I think he just was trying to go out there and see what he would look like. And
yeah,
yeah, I think he wasn't. When he got down, he got down. I think he just kind of said, you know what? Yeah, he wanted to get hit, like he said after the match. I think he said after the match, I think he wanted to just feel what it's like again. And I think he'll probably readjust and bounce back. And I think he's probably at a new phase of his career. I think he's going to have to reinvent his game a little bit.
mm,
And like a lot of great athletes do when they get a little older, they got to reinvent themselves and still find a way to be effective. I think he will. I think he'll probably take 3 months, 4 months off to kind of readjust, and then switch his training up a little bit, and he'll be right back. And I would probably bet on the win his next fight. So
I respect it. I
that's
respect it,
me.
Joe. I
Shout out my
respect it.
man Param John. He said, I like that Barry shut down Tony Grossi. What a dumb reporter. He's not a fan of Grossi. Um, but yeah, so shout out to Humble Man and the MMA channel. Go subscribe. And shout out to Pfeiffer and Adesanya. It was a great fight, by the way. But
Yeah.
while it lasted, but should have been on the presidential card, on the White House card, in my opinion. But you know, some more news, Humble. Deshaun Watson and Shedeur Sanders obviously have a quarterback battle brewing here in Cleveland. And there's a lot of reports humble coming out of the owners meeting over the weekend that Deshaun Watson from Andrew Berry's account that not only could he possibly win the job, but there's reports from people nationally that here that he might be the lead the guy at the forefront for the job. And then Jimmy Haslam made some comments today about it. So let's read some of these comments. Let's start with Andrew Berry, right? So this is from Mary Kay Cabot. She says from Phoenix, just when the Browns are close to digging out from under Deshaun Watson's fully guaranteed $230 million contract, GM Andrew Berry revealed Sunday that it might be not over just yet. If Watson wins the quarterback battle and plays well, the Browns could always bring him back for more. Bring him back for more. So, Humble, it sounds like they're talking about they may re-sign this guy if he plays well. Is that what it sounds like to you?
That's what it sounds like to
That's
me.
what. Oh, I don't know what's going on. It's getting a little hot in the streets here in Cleveland. Quote from Andrew Berry, quote, "We're probably just more focused on performance and best players." Berry told a small group of Browns beat reporters at the NFL owners meetings here. Quote, "Certainly time horizons factors into that. But just with any veteran player, there's no rule against extending the player's contract if they perform and do well. So I wouldn't necessarily box it into any one approach. It really would be performance based. So what he's saying, Humble, is if Deshaun Watson plays well, and let's say, well, if he wins the job and plays well, that they would consider extending the guy when they have Shedeur in the building. I guess I'll give my initial thoughts of these comments here, and I'll let you go. I'll let you get it off. But I'll be honest with you, Humble. I think I think if Deshaun Watson played well, right? If he won the job and played well, how many games did they win? Because he's at a point now in his career where, he's got to kind of put up or shut up. You know what I mean? Like,
sure.
This is his last shot right here. So am I putting the team? Obviously, the team's got to rebuild around him offensively, and Shedeur as well, both of them. I'm not going to put too much expectations on whoever's quarterback in there because I think the offense needs to rebuild around them too. It's just that it's been that bad the last 2 years, and obviously you have a new coach, new system coming in, whole new staff. So for the majority, mainly new staff. So it's a lot of new and a lot of rebuilding. But I still think with Deshaun though, it's like I've seen what he once was. He was an elite player at one point. It's been 6 years since that, and there's been a lot of stuff in between. And he's gotten hurt twice or 3 times. He's gotten hurt. He had the injury in 2023. Then he obviously, last time we saw him was his Achilles. We haven't heard him speak since then either, by the way. And that was almost 2 years ago. He ruptured the Achilles and he retore it again during the rehab process. Now he's finally back. And the owner last year came out and said, he was a swing and a miss. So when you hear those comps and they go out and they draft 2 quarterbacks last year and bring back Joe Flacco, and they should have brought him back in 24, and then they brought in Kenny Pickett even before they had to trade him. I mean, they brought in 4 different quarterbacks last year. Now,
correct.
They knew Deshaun wasn't going to play, so they needed a quarterback. But, I mean, you drafted 2 guys. I mean, it's not like they just drafted somebody and said, as a late round guy. No, they drafted 2 quarterbacks. And so, and you've heard the comments they made about Shedeur, that they believe there could be something there that he could become a franchise guy maybe one day with better coaching and stuff. So it's like you feel like it was all ruled out. Like he was gone. They're going to just to ride it out with his contract, and and then once he's clean, once they don't have to pay him anymore on the books and in terms of the the cap, they can just move on. But they've left the door open all offseason for this guy to not only compete for the job, but that you hear reports that he may be the front runner. I mean, there was also reports leaked out of practice that when he had that 21-day period back in December, the reports were that he was the most talented guy out there, including the 2 rookies. So I want to believe it, Humble, that they really will give him a shot to be the guy. But I'll be honest with you, I don't really believe he's the future guy. Now, I might as well just go to this real quick, and I'll let you get it off. Actually, give me 1 second. So, actually, what's your initial thoughts to Barry's comments?
Yeah, it does. It sounds like they want to keep him. If he's willing to give us, I mean, honestly, I'm honestly wondering how do the Browns judge what am I trying to say? Like what type of what's a good season for Deshaun Watson? You know what I mean? What's a good record for him? Is it kind of like a Rodgers, like he gets us to the playoffs and that's it? I mean, like, what are we looking for? And then on top of it, I know this is off topic, Joe, but shoot, don't we got that stadium that people are trying to still build at? I'm still thinking about that, man, and how that deals as far as money, and I don't know.
Well, ultimately, here's what I think this is going to come down to, and excuse me, somebody who talks to Todd Monken frequently. I'll just leave it at that. Who I know, um, they told me recently they believe that Deshaun Watson will be propped up as the guy. Basically, is how to describe to me that he will win the job going into week 1 of preseason, but he thinks maybe they're trying to trade him, and that there's no way Haslam
Mm,
doesn't want Shedeur not to be the guy because let's be honest, at the end of the day, it's a business. Number one,
yeah,
and Deshaun Watson, even if he goes out and plays well, he's never going to have that type of attraction that the most the market will have, not only locally but nationally, because of people will never get over the alleged things that happen. You know what I mean? So I think that's part of it, and I think also with just Shedeur, his revenue's crazy. Like the dude generates revenue. Whether people, I know people don't want to believe that. I've had people in our comments before think it's all fake, but I mean, listen, man, if you don't understand the Sanders fandom, they are insane. They and the numbers show it. All you can do is go look at the numbers that are reported, and I know people behind the scenes even said, he generates a lot of money. Now maybe some of the numbers have been a little over exaggerated, but the dude generates revenue. That's not a secret, humble. We all know that. So
no, yeah,
there's a reason why the NFL was probably going to flex some of his games on national TV this year, and why Colorado, when they were still not a good team, were always on ESPN every week, is because the Sanders family that they just generate a ton of that people love these people. I mean, they have a huge fan base. So one of the more diehard ones I've seen, and so Jimmy Haslam, though humble, made some comments going back to the owner. And Jimmy Haslam today, this just came out like 20 minutes ago. It says this was from Daniel Owefusier on ESPN Cleveland. He said ESPN. He said 1 year after calling the trade for Deshaun Watson a quote a big swing and miss, Cleveland Browns owner Jimmy Haslam on Monday told a group of local reporters at the NFL's league meetings that Watson has a great chance and a quote fresh start with first year coach Todd Monken. So he's making it out like Watson's got a fresh start here. Like we're going to give him a fair shake. That it almost sounds like to me though, humble, like we're saying what I've said for a while, that they don't believe Deshaun was the main reason he played as bad. They feel like maybe Kevin Stefanski's going to do a good enough job, kind of what Stump was saying, of helping him out. That wasn't all on him. Do you get that vibe as well?
no, I agree. 100%, hundred
Yeah.
percent.
So you get the vibe too. And then he goes on in the comment. It says Haslam comments last year came with the aftermath of Watson's season-ending Achilles tear in October 2024, which marked the second consecutive season that he suffered a season-ending injury. He had season-ending shoulder surgery in November 23. Watson missed the entirety of the 2025 season after he retore his Achilles and underwent a second surgery in January to 2025. But the 30-year-old is healthy and expected to compete with Shedeur Sanders and Dylan Gabriel to be the Browns' starting quarterback. So you heard these comments, humble, from the owner Jimmy Haslam saying that he's going to get a fresh start and he has a great chance, right? And you hear what Andrew Berry says, that if he plays well, we would consider re-signing the guy, extending him. I mean, they're going above and beyond. What do I think this all means, humble? Um, Teflon Don says Andrew Berry is a dunce. Browns are forever cheeks. All right. Good to see you, Teflon. He said, I do agree Watson was ass because of Kevin, though. I mean, I agree with what Stump said. Obviously, he was in the building, humble. I mean, I think obviously he would know more than anybody. Kevin didn't do a good enough job calling plays the way he should have for Deshaun, and I think they just kind of mismanaged the situation. I mean, obviously, Deshaun didn't play well, but I think Deshaun was a guy, he was on a hiatus. He didn't play for over a year when he came
He was
here.
dealing with
And
that injury when he came back too, right?
well, yeah, and he had to sit out
Shoulder.
because he had to see him suspended. Then he had to sit out because of all the stuff. And Houston, he didn't want to be in Houston anymore, and all the
Yeah,
allegations. And then he got suspended, and then he came back. And then he was his last two games for the shoulder. He looked okay, right?
yeah,
He hit the Baltimore game, and then all of a sudden the game before that he balled out against Arizona. And then he has a shoulder injury, and then he has to come back from the shoulder. It's just been a roller coaster. And I feel like Kevin Stefanski and I would say the Browns organization, they didn't do a good enough job of supporting their quarterback. And it's not
Oh, they
that's not
never do.
and they never do. That's the thing. It's not just the Deshaun thing. They've never supported the quarterback.
No,
Like
they
I mean, they
never.
threw two rookies out there last year in that situation. That was absolute turd shit.
Yes.
So with a terrible offensive line, and they knew that offensive line was older and injury prone and injured, and and they still ran it out there with those receivers, and just it's just not a good. It wasn't a good situation the last 2 years at all. And I think when Deshaun got here, they just have not. They didn't do a good enough job of a coach still has to coach.
Yeah.
Everybody needs coached. I don't care what stage of your career. Everybody needs coached. I read one reason why Tom Brady was a 6th round draft pick became what he became because he went to the right situation. Pat Mahomes sat for a year. He went to the right situation. You know, hell, even Lamar Jackson when he came in the league, he was a first round pick. But a lot of people thought. Remember, they said he might be a receiver, and
Yeah.
they said no, we're going to sit him, and then we're going to build a system around him in Baltimore, which is that's why they've been successful. And he became who he became with John Harbaugh. And so, there's plenty of examples of that. And I think he needed that. He needed the coaching more than anybody, and the structure and the support. He just didn't. He never. I don't think. And I bitched about it at the time. He never truly got that. They what the Browns, what I think we're trying to do through an analytical approach at the time was let's acquire Deshaun Watson, which they did, and overpay to get him.
Of
So,
course.
because they were
Yeah.
trying to buy wins, which is what Moneyball is, which is what they were doing with the Podesta. It was let's try to buy touchdowns. Let's try to purchase, first downs and efficiency and yards and all this shit. That's not reality though. That don't work
Yeah.
on the field. Like everyone needs
A guy's
development
got
and
to buy
coaching.
into the system too.
Exactly. Like that's not reality. Like that movie was not reality, but that movie kind of became reality for the Browns, and then look what they became, just terrible. So,
Yeah.
I think that's a lot of what happened there. Now, do I believe Humble that he has a legit shot to be the guy? I think he will be the starter going into week 1 of the preseason, but I don't think it's because he actually won the job. I
Mm.
think what you're seeing right now, Humble, is a propping up to possibly trade this guy away. And I know people say, who would trade for this guy? But like the person told me a couple weeks ago who knows this situation, has people, he's connected with the coach and has a good feel for this situation, probably more than most, would used to be in the building, that there's no way they're going to, there's no way Haslam's going to choose Deshaun over Shedeur business wise, which is first and foremost, especially with that new stadium coming up. And then
Right.
also, you know, there's always a team out there that goes through every year in camp going into preseason. Everybody needs a quarterback at some point. I don't say everybody, but a lot of teams need a quarterback at some point because people get hurt in camp, right? Or maybe guys aren't panning out. Somebody I think would take a flyer on him if that the Browns can sell this enough, and he goes out and plays well in the first or second preseason game, right? Especially if he goes out and plays decent, plays well in the first and second preseason game. By after that second preseason game, I think you will see Deshaun Watson traded because I think that's what this is all about. Shedeur is really the guy for next year, and they have to make Shedeur the guy because they have to know if Shedeur is the guy moving forward. Because next year looks like a loaded quarterback class, like a real quarterback class that we haven't had in a while. So they have to play Shedeur this year, and Shedeur I think should be the guy. He's younger, cheaper money. They need to go the rookie route. Like they're in a rebuild right now, and they got to allocate their money in different areas. You want to ideally you want to have a rookie on a you want to have a quarterback on a rookie contract because it gives you 4 years of flexibility. So unless Deshaun goes out there humble and then camp and looks like the old Deshaun, like 2020 version, they're kind of like, man, we kind of can't let this guy go. I think Deshaun won't be that good, but I think he'll be right in the middle. Like he'll be good enough. I think he could play good enough where another team will say, "Hey, if we get him over here, we got nothing going for us for a year." Like Param says, Arizona, that might be a good
Yeah.
situation because
I,
Arizona, Kyler Murray's gone. Like they don't really have anything right. What does Arizona have at quarterback right now? I mean,
they
Jacoby
have
Brissett.
Jacoby Brissett.
That's not getting the fans up. And I like Jacoby,
I
nice
mean,
guy. He had a decent career at times, but he's a career backup for a reason.
he's a
And
career
that's not
backup.
a hate on the guy,
No.
but it's a business. You can't sell that shit to your fans. I'm sorry.
No.
That's not getting the Arizona fans up and woohoo and hee haw and going to the game. Like And maybe Deshaun. People say, "Well, Deshaun Watson." I get the reputation, but it's interesting though. You know what I mean? Like people still want to know, can this guy get back? Like it's a name. You know what I mean? He's a name that he was a guy that once was something. So I think humble, and I'm curious your take. I think a lot of this is just salesmanship by the Browns. They're propping up Deshaun Watson, just like
Mm,
last year. Remember when they propped up that bullshit? I mean, I'm trying not to cuss. Let me stop. That crappy uh, fake quarterback competition last year, where they knew all along Joe Flacco was going to be the guy, and they brought in all these four guys. And you remember one day it was Kenny Pickett was the second coming, Dylan Gabriel, a supercomputer, and Shedeur, he's got a shot at some point, and Joe Flacco, man, he looks like the All American, All Pro again. Remember they were over propping all these guys because
yeah,
that's
oh, yeah,
it's a you got to get the fans engaged. Let's be honest, it's a
you
business.
have to.
I
Yeah.
think the same thing's going right now, but at the end of the day, I expect 12 to be the starter week one. I think that's what the owner wants, and I think that's what's gonna. And I think it makes the most sense. I'm be honest. Unless Deshaun is like out of this world and he's the old Deshaun in camp, which it's good. I think it's highly unlikely. It's unrealistic for him to even ask him to do that right away. They're just propping him up to become a decent guy that somebody's gonna bite on for a trade because somebody needs a quarterback usually mid preseason because their room's banged up, arms are hurt, they got nobody out there. So a place like Arizona, good job, parent. I mean, that's a great place. Maybe you could trade him.
Arizona, or if you don't think the Raiders need a quarterback too. I mean, heck, Jets maybe. The
Well,
Jets always need something.
Jet, yeah, yeah. When they came out the other day and said Geno Smith is their quarterback. What? I'm like,
Yeah,
I don't, shout out to Geno Smith, but man, that ain't getting the people up in New York.
no.
This is New York. What are we doing here? I always thought too humble. Like, I don't know if the cap wise how it would work, but what if like a place like even the Rams, because Matt
Mm,
Stafford, he's kind of a year to year basis. Hey,
yeah,
we saw Baker Mayfield have a pit stop with the Rams. We've seen other guys have pit stops in the right situations, like Sam Darnold went to Minnesota,
great point.
and it revitalized their Mac Jones. I think same thing if he
Yeah,
gets a shot, somewhere. I think he can become that. From what I saw, like certain places, man, they just have that like Sean McVay, man, he just has it with quarterbacks. The guy just has it right. It's why he's one of the best coaches. Like you don't think if you put Deshaun there for a whole year and develop it, maybe Matt Stafford retires and it's like, hey, we got Deshaun on maybe a reasonable deal.
yeah.
We still have pieces now that we can win now with. Like after a
Saints.
year of getting
Yeah,
his feet wet, you know what I mean? Like
yeah.
or even a play or like Arizona, places like that where it's like maybe we just get somebody who can draw interest, you know what I mean, or something. So do you agree though? Do you think this is do you think they would actually really put him out there and see if he can win and play decent and actually re-sign him? Or do you think this is just them like what I think is going on? They're just propping him up to trade him mid preseason.
Um, it could go both ways, but I think the way that I'm leaning is maybe, he plays well. You know what I mean? Like you said, we know we want Shador for next year. Keep him protected at all costs. Uh, like I know I keep going to this, but like you said, this is Deshaun's really last year. It sounds like, but if unless he balls out, but I really like what you're saying though, Joe. As far as like if he does do well, maybe make up a trade piece. Um, so I'm so in between, Joe. I don't know, man.
Well, here's the other thing it does too. It buys Shador more time to develop
Right,
because
right.
I've always said the Browns this year, Todd Monk and his staff have to redevelop the development. He didn't get the development he should have got at Colorado. Let's just call it like it is. He didn't get it. Pat Shermer and I got to put a little. Deion's the head coach. Like I mean, we've heard a lot of guys leave Colorado too recently and say how where they went, man, it's a lot different. So and clearly the results show they had the 9-win season, but all the other years, when he left too is at like last year, the first year, like even in that bowl game against BYU, like I mean, they've had times where you're like, man, they do not look like they're on the level they need to be. So I think he was a little behind when he got in the league. Not his fault. And I think when he got in the league last year, he had to really learn a lot of things. The kid has the work ethic, though. Obviously, I think I think he definitely has the work ethic, and he wants to be great. But I think nowadays with the coach that's really in on him, and I'm not saying Kevin wasn't all in on him. I think Kevin obviously he was a head coach. He had to coach the kid and do what he needed to do. But do I think that's who Kevin really wanted? No. I think that's why when Kevin left, he made it well known too he didn't want Deshaun Watson. Remember that report came out instantly.
Yeah.
So and look by the actions. What did Atlanta go out and acquire right away? A short left-handed quarterback. So I think that's clearly was where he was thinking last year. I don't know what he's thinking there, but that's what he was thinking. So I think I think Shedeur finally now is in a situation where it's like, okay, you're the clear cut, like this is your job to go win. Todd Munkin's a proven guy. We saw Todd Munkin with guys like Stetson Bennett help them get drafted, become two-time national champions, who were kind of average, and then you saw what he did with Lamar Jackson, made him an MVP of the league with 41 touchdowns, and really have elevated his passing game a lot.
Yeah.
So, I think Shedeur, the more time he has to really just get his feet wet and for Todd Monken to mold him into who the quarterback he needs to be. I think Deshaun, if they can get him out there and then getting him, playing in a lot of reps, that gives Shedeur more time and it gives the offensive line more time to develop to the preseason before you put Shedeur out there. So when they put Shedeur out there, the structure's a lot better, right? He's a little more comfortable, he's a little more ahead, and he understands what Monken wants, and Monken understands him, and then they can just start rolling. You know what I mean? And now you really find out what you got. So, but I think Deshaun's he really is like a bridge, but he's going to be a short term. He's going to be a real short bridge. I think it's only to be. I think he'll, like I said, I think he'll start the first two preseason games. I think he'll play well enough, and I think they'll try to trade him to some team, which maybe they'll try to get a team to bite on him. That's why when you hear all these reports like this, I don't know. I don't think it's just them just, uh, trying to get Deshaun up. Maybe there's a shot where Jimmy Haslam humble still wants to prove that he could be their guy because he right now he's known as the worst contract ever that he paid.
Mm.
So maybe there's a part of him, his ego, that says, "No, I want to prove that this guy could still be the guy." I wouldn't. I'm not. I think there's a 5% chance that could be it, and it wouldn't surprise me. But I think a lot of what they're doing is just propping him up for trade. So, um,
And
go ahead.
I was gonna say I had a question for you with Munkin. Do you think we're gonna see more of our offense excel more in the passing? Because I know Kevin at times was more of like a he really liked Chubb back there running for us all the time, and he liked that old school. What do you expect from him offensively, or what do you know he'll bring? Is what I'm asking.
I think the Browns last year when Tommy Reese took over play calling duties, they got more balanced. Where there
Mm,
was games where they ran the ball more and they actually were more competitive. But what they lacked was the creativity in the system and the passing game especially. And I think the development just wasn't there. And I think the personnel wasn't there either. But I think it was just kind of a slop jalop offense. You know what I mean? Like it was just kind of like there wasn't a real identity to it, in my opinion. Where in 2020 when they had their best season, a lot of it was because number one, they weren't in the building all year because of COVID, which I think kind of worked well for the Browns because there wasn't much influence from the top. But they had an identity though. We were a run first football team, play action, efficiency. Baker Mayfield thrived in that year, and they had
yeah.
two dominant running backs and a great offensive line with Bill Callahan as the run game coordinator. Jarvis Landry, you had reliability there. Like you had a nice team, and I think with Monk, you're gonna have an identity. I think you're gonna have a running game again, right? But I think you're gonna have a balanced attack, but also like an offense that's very multiple, more modernized than what we've seen, and not this cookie cutter stuff that we've seen in Cleveland the last couple of years. You know what I mean? I think you're gonna see like a diverse offense where Shedeur likes to air it out down the field. Like I think you'll have. I think the Browns be able to keep defenses more off balance. I think they'll keep defenses more off balance. I think they'll have a little more tempo. I think they'll have a little more aggressiveness. I think they'll have more balance. Like I think they'll be kind of what they need to be, a ground and pound team that can really air it out too if they need to. So and they can really
Okay.
catch teams off guard. If you start running the ball well, teams want to load the box. Well, now we'll start taking shots. You know what I mean? And I think Shedeur loves Ulacha Square. He likes taking deep shots down the field. That's probably his favorite play. So he does a really good deep ball too. So I think that's kind of the offense you'll see. It's just a diverse, balanced offense.
Right
and
on.
more creative. Like I think you'll see a lot more creativity, more discipline. Uh, I think with George Warhop here, you're gonna have better discipline up front development, so that'll really help a lot. You know what I mean? And so, like, and I think you'll see an offense where it's not like we're doing this week to week. It's like, no, we're gonna adjust week to week based on who we're playing, and we're gonna attack teams differently. If we have to have a shorter passing game against a certain team and run the ball more in certain weather or whatever, like that's how we'll win the game and trust our defense. If we gotta be more aggressive. We'll spread out the defense downfield this week, keep them off balance, and sneak in some runs here and there. That's how we'll beat them this week. You know what I mean? And so I think your defense, I think you should have an offense that complements your defense more this year because you have a defense that can get you a lot of stops, 75 at least 80% of the time. They're that good. So now you need an offense that can complement that. So that's how I see it.
No, for sure, man. It's just going to be interesting. I wanted your thoughts because I wanted to look back at this clip when we get the first couple of games out for the season. Cool to look back at this clip.
For sure. And I think it's going to take time to develop. Like I think once they get to week 6 or 7, no pun intended, I think that's when they'll start to really form and develop into what the Todd Monken offense is. So it's going to take a little bit, but you know what time it is though, Humble, right? It's mock draft Monday, so that means it's
Monday.
mock draft 2.0 time. So let's get to it. So mock draft 2.0. Here we go. So Humble. Last week we had Carnell Tate, right, as our first pick. We had Caden Proctor as the second pick, the offensive tackle, and then we had the cornerback from Brandon Siss from South Carolina, their third pick. Well, a lot's happened since then, Humble. We've had some pro days, right? We've had some new information, and I've kind of done a lot of rethinking about who I would take. And so I'm going to get to it right now, Humble. I'm going to go back. Let's do this mock draft Monday.
Let's do it.
So who would I take with the 6th pick now? And again, we can't, no trades in this. We're just going to pick strictly out the first 3 picks. So last week, Humble, right here, we took Carnell Tate, right? We looked at Carnell Tate. We had Monroe Freeling, the tackle. We had Mekhi Lemon, the receiver. Spencer Fano's there. I switched up, Humble. I really had to sit and think about this. How often do you want, number one, do you want to have a top 10 pick every year? No, because that means you're bad. So the goal is to have a higher first round pick naturally because that means you had a good year, right? Better than what you had. But you don't get top 10 picks that often. And I look at the Brown situation. We talked about it. Grant Delpit, contract's going to be up here down the road after next season. You got to have a great safety, in my opinion. I explain that nowadays. Like, that's the reason why it's called safety. The Browns haven't had, like, a legit, like, great safety in a long time. And I think that's time to get one. You got Myles Garrett up there up front. I think if you have a safety that can really make a quarterback, that can cover one half of the field and really make a quarterback, stutter in their progressions, gives Myles Garrett more time to get to him. And I'm going to go with Caleb Downs, Humble. I think he might be the most talented player in this draft. Like,
yeah, you've been saying that.
The only other guy I would consider taking right here is Ruben Bain. But Ruben Bain went number 2. Because if I put Ruben Bain up there, I think Ruben's a 5-tech, 3-tech guy. I could put him at the 3. Or, opposite of Miles. I think that would be phenomenal. But, Caleb Downs is the guy I think they've always needed, Humble, that safety they haven't had. And you don't get a premier player like that at that discounted price often. So, because you're going to have him under a rookie contract for 4 years. So, I'm going to go with Caleb Downs this week, Humble. I switched up.
Let's do it.
I'm still picking a Buckeye, but I'm going with, in my opinion, the most talented guy in the draft.
Easily.
So, Mr. Downs is a Brown. Now,
Downs is a Brown.
Yeah. Now this Humble went just how I thought it would. This is perfect for me because I still need a receiver. Well, I think Omar Cooper Jr. is a faster Jarvis Landry, Zay Flowers type dude, right? And who was just his coach, Zay Flowers in Baltimore? Oh, that's right, Todd Monken. So this worked out. I got Omar Cooper right here still, Humble. I'm down with that. I'm good. Now, here's what I would throw. I can't do it today because I'm not paying for the PFF thing, but I would call Arizona right here at 34, and I would say, listen, we'll give you 39, so you move down 5 spots, and I have a 5 and a 6 and a 7, whatever it would take, because I think they have 3 5s. So I'm using one of those, or my 6, maybe 7. I don't know what they would go for, and I would actually jump from 39 to 34. And the guy I would probably target is see if Blake Miller fell or if Max Hienaker, I can't pronounce his name, but I like him a lot. He's left tackle. He's a tackle. I would target one of those two guys at 34 because I think one of them will be there. So, but today I can't trade in this scenario, but that's what I would do. But I would take Omar Cooper right here, the receiver. You down with that, Humble?
I'm down with that, man.
He's
Makes
down with
sense.
He's down with it. So I'm going with Omar Cooper, and we'll see who falls to us. So Caleb Lamu just went. That's the other one I would, look at. But I think right here, I don't realistically. I think one of the tackles, Lamu, the guy from, I think Lamu, the Arizona State kid, maybe even Caden Proctor may fall out. I do think there will be a tackle right here at 39, but I would still trade up just to make sure, with the scenario I just put out there. But in this situation right now, if there wasn't a tackle, then they couldn't trade up. I think Jennings Dunker's a little too low for me. I think he had a decent combine, and I like his tape a lot. But I don't know. I'll let you make this pick, Humble. Who do you like right here? We got. Now, obviously, we already brought in an interior. We still got the guy Sis from South Carolina there. D'Angelo Pons, who I know Param John liked last week. The other cornerback. Or we could just take the best tackle down here.
I think we need a CB too, because we were talking about it. How long is what's his name? Jesus Christ.
Tyson. Oh, you talking about Denzel Ward?
Denzel Ward. How much longer is he gonna be available for us?
So you want to go with Sis or Pons? I'll let you pick.
Who was Paragon mentioning Pons?
Yep.
Yep.
I will go with Pons, national champion. And so that's our mock draft this week. Now, again, with a trade, I would have moved up and I would have got one of my tackles. I probably would have took Caleb Lamu in that situation. But this week's mock draft Monday, we have Caleb Downs, Omar Cooper Jr., and D'Angelo Pons. And again, I'm going to put a wrinkle on this, a note. I would have traded from 39 up to 34 with the Cardinals, and I would have took Caleb Lamu with my 39th pick. So that really would have been my real draft. Would have been Downs, Cooper, Lamu. So I would have got a tackle, receiver, and Caleb Downs. But I like this a lot better than last week's Humble. I know they gave the Caleb Downs trade a C because they're obviously, putting more value on the receiver and tackle. But
yeah,
a player like that, I can't pass on. I've switched up. And he improves my special teams too, because I think he's going to be an elite punt returner. So I get help there, And then what I would actually do, if I really want to get gangster with it, I would do that trade at 39. And then my next pick, and a lot of the mocks, guess who's been sitting right there? Omar Cooper's opposite wingmate, Elijah Surratt, the other receiver, who I think is very underrated. I would have the Indiana receiver tandem, who after Carnell and Jeremiah this year were the best tandem in college football. So I'm bringing the best tandem outside of Ohio State's, the best, who just won a national championship, by the way, and produced. The best receiver tandem, I'm bringing them to Cleveland with Downs and a tackle. I like that. I like that shit a lot. But that's Mock Draft Monday 2.0. So let me know what you guys think in the comments of who would you take and what's your mock draft right now. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to have a discussion about the Tiger Woods incident and get into a real life discussion. So you don't want to miss this. Don't go anywhere. Stick around.
It's interesting to me. God really did have that plan for me throughout this entire time. Mm-hmm. It was simply just up to me when I was able to stop playing God. I thought I was the one making things happen. No, God is in control. A saying my dad used to always say was, man plans while God laughs. I had a plan for my life. Like, I was gonna be. I'm talking about from as soon as I can remember my first thought. I'm gonna be in the NFL. I'm gonna be a quarterback.
Right.
I'm gonna my life was made.
I'm gonna have all this money. I'm gonna get any girl I want. I'm gonna have all these cars.
Yeah,
that's gonna be good.
I'm talking Beyonce is gonna be like, hey, what are you doing today?
What's up?
Then Rihanna tomorrow. Like it was this plan I had for my life. And as I got older, obviously the plans got smaller, but I still continue to plan. Something that I do now, and I would recommend everybody doing every single night when I pray. What I used to do was say, God, allow me to pass this test. God, allow me to, meet this girl. God, allow, this date to go well, this day to go well. When I go to sleep every single night, what I pray for is for God's will to be done. Because He obviously knows what He's doing. I don't. Because if I knew what I was doing, I would be, I wouldn't be talking about Baker on the Browns. I'd be on the Browns right now. If I knew if I followed my plan, Beyonce would be hitting me up. She hasn't hit me up. I must have missed that call or something.
She don't want some bake.
Right. She doesn't want the AMP producer. She has a billionaire husband or something. It's interesting to me. God really did have that plan for me throughout this entire time. It was simply just up to me when I was able to stop playing God. I thought I was the one making things happen. No, God is in control. From the moment I wake up, God is in control. So
All right, welcome back. Time to move on to Tiger Woods. This is our real life discussion, Humble. So before we get into that, shout out to all you guys again on the playback or watching live right now. Please like, subscribe, and share. And go subscribe to my man Humble as well. Humble Man MMA. He'll be breaking it all down, but all things MMA and UFC. So Humble, we got some more serious stuff to talk about, obviously. So we'll get right to it. Tiger Woods, the great iconic golfer Tiger Woods, who I actually met one time back in 2013. I saw him play at the Firestone, Bridgestone in Akron, and he lit it up that weekend too. I got to see kind of the end of prime Tiger, I guess you could say, and he absolutely was phenomenal that weekend. I got to hear the Tiger roar. That's the whole thing, and said hello to him and stuff. But was right next to him the whole weekend watching him, and something I'll never forget, because obviously when you see a caliber of that athlete in person like that, it is different. They have a different vibe around them with fandom, and just you definitely see who they are on the it's a different aura. So we all know Tiger, the great athlete he is, but off the course, he's had a lot of instances, unfortunately, and there is a lot of things floating out there in the internet today, Tiger. People that actually know Tiger growing up, and from LA, or not from the California area, or just you read a lot of the history about him and things that have come out, and you kind of connect two and two together, and you see his the incidents off the course that have happened, and a lot of people question his character. Let's be honest. A lot of people don't think he's maybe the greatest person, or he definitely has a problem, or both things. So he obviously over the weekend, if you guys probably all heard, Friday, Tiger got in another rollover crash. This is his. I know it's the second one we all know about. He had the one back in 21 where he really hurt his leg, and now there was another one that somebody put out today that actually was in 2017. They said allegedly that it never got public, because I guess the sheriffs allegedly were fans of him, didn't actually test him that night, Humble. So that's why it never really got out. But he got another DUI, suspected DUI in this case. Now, whatever is causing it, what are the influence he's under? There's a lot of different things out there right now. Tiger did visibly look a lot more yoked, Humble. I don't know if you saw that picture of him standing by the bushes when he got out of the car, was on the phone.
Yeah.
He looked yoked. And some people were wondering if he's taking some enhancers, or is he drinking again, or is it drinking? Because I think the last time it was alcohol, if I'm not mistaken, when he rolled over in 21. So I'm not really sure, but this has been a reoccurring thing. I mean, obviously, you had the famous Thanksgiving thing incident back in 2009. We all know that. And that's when really the downfall started for Tiger Woods. And he had a comeback temporarily. You know, he won the Masters, and it looked like everything was fine. Then it kind of just went downhill again since, and now here we are again, back in this situation, Humble. And it's actually really sad. I know there's a lot of memes out there with this mugshot on the internet. But it is really sad. Like, this is somebody's life, Humble. And he's actually facing some real, like, possibly jail time now. Like, they're really going to come after him now because it's, Humble, when you have these type of incidents, he's actually like a menace to the road now. And I'm not joking. Like, he is a danger on the roads. So he kind of, he needs to be handled with if he can't handle himself, because he's really putting people in danger.
Yeah.
And so that's the first part. And so I guess, Humble, before I get into detail, what's your initial reaction to the incident?
I like the way you put it, because it's like, I don't know if he knows that he's putting himself in harm, but he's definitely putting others in harm around him. And I get the whole, he's a great athlete and everything, but you still got to be held accountable at the end of the day, without a doubt.
You're not above anybody else.
Correct. 100%.
Exactly. 100%. And I think anybody that's rational really would agree with that, right? And so here's the thing, though. This article right here, this came out of the New York Post today. And I thought this article was kind of interesting, really interesting, because it says the paranoid reason why Tiger Woods won't hire a driver despite history of car crashes. And Humble, it's funny, we actually talked about this recently with Myles Garrett, because he had his he just got his second speeding ticket. He rolled over a car from speeding. Remember, was it 2 years ago, 3 years ago, whatever it was? And people have said, why won't Myles just hire a driver to drive him around? Like, dude, you clearly have a problem speeding, and you won't address it. And this is that was like the ninth time that we've at least heard of. And this is, he had one rollover crash already. So when you have a trend like that, like, it does need to be addressed. Let's be honest. Like, I know people want to say, why are we talking about this? A Myles, not a big deal. Like, well, it's not a big deal till it is. Like, people could say, oh, that's just, you're being, too serious and blah, blah, blah. Life, like, we all do it. But it's like, doesn't mean it's right. Doesn't mean it's not something that should be addressed, because now Tiger's case is a lot more serious and a lot more, I think, deeper. And Myles isn't on that level. But it made me think Myles saying, like, get a driver. But Tiger's instance, Myles, I think, is probably just, he's young, he's 29. Maybe he'll get a driver now. I don't know. But Tiger Woods, I think there's a deeper reason, Humble, why he won't get a driver. And it's because if you read this right here, it says, quote, there was a source close to him that says, quote, and he thinks he's fine to drive. Right. And it goes on to talk about in this article that investigators believe he was allegedly under the influence of some type of medication drug at the time. And in this article, there was I think maybe it's another one I read. There was the report that they put out. Oh, right here. It says the 50-year-old golf legend opts to drive himself everywhere because he doesn't want employees to, quote, watch over him or know what he is doing, end quote, a source close to him said. So he's paranoid, Humble, that he won't hire a driver because he's 50 years old. This is his third DUI second one that we know about, and third one that I think he got it basically an out on because they were fans of his. But he's had multiple rollover crashes now, and he won't get a driver, Humble, because he doesn't want people to watch over him or know what he is doing. Why is that? And I'm just going to tell you right now, and this is the real. If you know Tiger Woods' history, right? If you know Tiger's history, after the 2009 incident happened with the mistress and everything, if you go to Google Tiger Woods Las Vegas, you'll learn a lot about, allegedly, but I know a lot of people think it's true, and I'm just going to be honest, Humble, the actions don't tell me otherwise. Tiger Woods has a serious problem, and it's been going on for a while, but you go look at what he used to do, or go look at the stuff in Vegas about Tiger Woods that has been leaked out. And that people that, like, I know Whitlock said that on his show on Fearless, he knows dealers in Vegas that have told him a lot of this stuff that it makes Tiger Woods sound horrible. And it's beyond just not tipping the dealers either. But I mean, this guy, he likes to have a good time, all right. And I think, honestly, I'm speculating, Humble, but when you don't want people to watch over you or know what you were doing, what are you trying to hide? Let's be
Yeah, it's a
honest.
little sketchy, man.
What do you and there's been reports allegedly, and there's been about what your Vegas life is like, and I've had to think, if you do that in Vegas, you're probably doing it everywhere you go. You probably, you go to certain towns for a reason because you got stuff you like to do, and you've already been caught with a mistress. There's been a multiple reports of adultery with him and different all kinds of different mistresses. When all that stuff in 2009 happened, again, it's all on the internet. It's been reported. So what I'm saying is, he's it's hearsay, but I'm just saying it's out there, and there's a pattern here. And then now it's like you're still in this predicament right here, Humble. You got a Range Rover just absolutely wrecked, and you're standing over in the bushes right here. There's a photo of him standing by the bushes. Not sure if they put it in here on this article, but you get arrested again, and this is where you are now, and it's like there's a pattern here. And I think my whole theory with this today, Homo, it's not really, because I really do wish Tiger Woods, anybody, deserves a chance to turn their life around and to find healing in their life. Christ can save anybody, and Christ can redeem anybody.
Absolutely.
Including me. I need it at times. I haven't needed it in my past. Humble, I know you've talked about your past. We've all needed. None of us are perfect. We've all made mistakes. This is not a Tiger Woods bashing of like, we're holier than, no. That's not where we're getting at this. But I think Tiger Woods' story is an example of somebody who, just when you get and when you, it's not always best to have everything you want, because when you get everything you
Correct.
want, you feel like you have everything you need, right? And I think with Tiger, what I'm getting at here is I think Tiger's somebody, he had so much fame early on in his career, became so big and so iconic that I think he's never feel like he's done anything wrong, because all people do is applaud him, because that's what our society, we applaud people like that reach that kind of monetary wealth and or that kind of talent. I mean, those kind of talent breeds, and they entertain us, so we give them a pass. But it's like I think Tiger's a guy, Humble, who's never really looked in the mirror, clearly. And I think it's somebody who is like, when you constantly live your life trying to hide something or trying to patch something up, whether it's somebody did something to you or something that you did, when you're constantly trying to patchwork your life and you're trying to get by and just cope and just act like it never happened, and then just keep living in that type of, whether it's living in sin or that needs to be addressed, or living in a pattern, or life doing things that addiction or lifestyle things that really aren't helping you, it just temporarily satisfies you. It's like you get to a point like this, you're 50, and yeah, you were a legend at one point, but it's like this is what you're remembered as, though. Like this is where you are now in your life. Forget what everybody else thinks and who you once were. Like your life is like this rollover crashes, all the other stuff we've heard about him. Like he has a bad lifestyle apparently, and now you're hearing reports today coming out that people are saying he's depressed and he's been kind of low, and it's just like, Humble, I think this is a guy. It's like he had everything. He was the top of the sports world at one point. People put him in the same breath, iconic wise, as Michael Jordan and Mike Tyson and those types of dudes. Like he's that
Right.
big of a dude, and this is what he still feels like inside. And it just shows you that, like, all these things can't satisfy you, but also it's like, man, when you try to patchwork your life and you try to always be somebody for, and try to always be someone for somebody else, or for everyone else. And I think in Tiger's case, it's like he has like this an addictive personality with certain things that he just feels like he can always, when you get so many passes and passes and passes and no accountability, this is what you become. um you're 50 years old and you're in your third crash, and your mugshots all over the news, and your reputation's kind of like diminished. And you hear now there's reports coming out from people that are publicly known figures that are saying like, yeah, he's a great golfer, but he's not a good person. Like I've heard that multiple times today from different places. So, or over the weekend, even just about Tiger Woods, like, it's like your true color gets revealed. Um, and now I'm kind of going off the radar a little bit here, Humble, but I'm trying to get to a main point here soon. But I'm curious, what's your thoughts on any of that, or anything you want to add to that?
Um, yeah, I mean, it's when you're saying when there's no accountability for so long, what is the accountability? Because it's been lost, obviously, with Tiger, and like you're saying, with all these reports coming out, and him being labeled more as a bad person more than what we're all remembered him as for as a great golfer. And it's just yeah, it's sad because that's it's I know that's not what he wants to leave behind as far as his legacy. That's what I wanted to add.
Let me ask you this, Humble,
Yeah,
because you and I have these discussions all the time, privately too, even on the phone. Like, do you think Tiger Woods, Humble, is kind of an example of what the modern society has become in terms of less regulation and rules that are really good for us to keep us accountable, and just anything you want, you can have it. Anything you can have, anything you want, everything's accessible, and just meet and really just put your own desire and flesh before everything else. I feel like, do you get that? I feel like Tiger is kind
yeah,
of like an example of that. And
yeah.
why, when you want to explain why is that dangerous to people, for people?
Yeah. I mean, it's so. It's That's a good point. We kind of like there's little mini Tiger Woods out here without even realizing it, and it's just because, like how you said, the access of what we have, and with the phones and everything, and you know, um, maybe Tiger's getting a lot of that now, as far as like, with the technology catching up and the the I just I could see it. I could see why it's so easy for him to fall victim to that because he stayed what's the word I'm looking for? He locked in on his life for so long, became a great uh golfer, but at the end of the day, uh like going back to he's leaving back a legacy he ultimately shouldn't be. And I feel as if a lot of people can fall into the same trap as if, oh, I made a oh, and it's not just a oh, it's it's a bad look as far as like with he's having a DUI. And what am I trying to get at? People can just blow it over and be like, oh, it's okay, but clearly it affects people in other ways without us even realizing it, like Tiger.
Yeah, and I think like with Tiger, like what I'm getting at, it's like he entertained people for so long. He was so applauded for years, and there's people out there to idolize Tiger Woods. You know what I mean? Like in a almost like an adult, in a real idolization way. And
Well, like you said, Michael Jordan, he was that big.
yeah, like he can never do no wrong in people's eyes. Like if you criticize him, it's like it's the end of the world. Like how dare you? Like he like because the world puts this up as perfection. He achieved this wealth and this fame, and he entertained people that it's like this guy's perfection. How he could do no wrong. And I think when you have that kind of mindset, I think this is what you get. You get no accountability in your own life. You can't hold yourself accountable. You think, because in Tiger's eyes, it's like I could just do what I want. I want to do whatever I want and satisfy whatever I want to do, and however I go about it, and I'll always get out on it. Like you hear the story today in 2017 out in California, the sheriff's department were fans of his, and they didn't even test him. That's crazy. Anybody else, they would have canned that night and put in jail. So, and that person probably did some time too. Um, but again, this is what happens when you have no accountability in your life. It's like why we talk about all the coaching stuff recently, but why there's certain programs that just have it and always win, and there's certain programs that flame out, is because there's no accountability a lot of times. And I think a lot of these guys, a lot of these stars, they're not born; they're manufactured, and they're protected, and they're carried through. And it's for a lot of different things, mainly business. But I think this is kind of like another example of that. Like this is somebody with no accountability ever. But I think for people though, in society, like you've mentioned, and he's an example of what this is. What you have a lawless society that we're becoming, in a society with no morals anymore, and just do whatever you want, this free mentality, I overly, in a bad way. You have a lot of people that yeah, you could have all these things temporarily, but man, your soul is being, I know the wages of sin is death. The death is separation from God, and I think that's where a lot of this, for a lot of people, is heading. Our society's heading that way, and it's just like because we have allowed it, we think it's okay, and the more people we have, I love seeing all the athletes recently voice their opinion or give praise to the Lord. And really, there's a movement happening right now amongst collegiate athletes, especially about sharing their faith. You know, what I mean, they're like, hey man, they've seen all how destructive all this stuff has been for the people. They've seen all the people in their later 20s and 30s just destroy their lives, and even 40s now and 50s. People above them just destroy their lives with all this stuff, and it's like, you know what? Maybe we should take a different approach. Like maybe we should go back to like, you know, what really what truly satisfies us, and what our starting with our spirit, what I mean, with our Lord and Savior, and honoring and glorifying him. And none of us are perfect, but seeking after him, and trust and surrendering our life to him, and allowing him to change us inside and being a light for the world, change, helping, want to put others before ourselves. And so I think that mindset is slowly coming back within younger athletes. I know I've posted a lot. You've seen it, like a lot of these collegiates. There's like a movement right now starting, which is great. And I think we need more of that. We need more of that. Just uh, it's okay to go against the grain of society.
Yeah.
Even if other people isolate you out or label you, that as long as you stand 10 toes down on what's right and what believe is true and right, that it'll all work out for you at the end. It's better to be respected. Like I keep saying, it's better to be respected in life than to be liked. The hell with being liked. It's better to be respected in life, And so, um, yeah, man, we can go on about this all day, but and I hope Tiger Woods. Maybe this is it. Maybe Tiger Woods can come out in 5-10 years and say, "Hey, man, I've repented. This is all the things I did wrong in my life," and maybe he can just put up the clubs and just be like, hey, you know what, this is why you should not do X, Y, and Z. Because to me, that would be a greater legacy to me than what he did on the golf course.
Yeah.
So I'm hopeful, but for anybody, but I don't know, man. It's sad story. That's for sure.
No, for sure.
Good show today, Humble. We'll do more topics for you guys here coming up here soon. The Cavs play tonight as well, so we'll have some reaction to the Cavs here on the West Coast trip they got coming up. Play the Lake Show and all that, so I'll definitely be reacting to that. Subscribe to our man Tune In Sports, Cavaliers Talk, our boy. I'm gonna put a Wanda poster or a missing poster out for him to Batman. But I think he'll be back soon. But shout out to Tune In Sports, go subscribe to him, and shout out to my man Humble. Humble, you want somebody to come subscribe to you?
Yeah, man. If you guys want to come over here, Humble Man MMA, and I'm gonna try to get out a video here today. But it's just slow. We're slowly getting out there day by day, trying to get better. And I appreciate Joe letting me come up here. And we always love spreading out these topics and just breaking it down. And it's good for the people.
100%. Go subscribe to my man. He's gonna have some great content out there on all things MMA and UFC. So I'm looking forward to it. And yeah, like, subscribe, share all the good stuff. We will see you guys in the next one. We're out of here. Gone.